Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. It is time for our mini message because it is Sunday. So before I get started, I want to let you know that all of my church's info is linked below. I go to Seacoast in Charleston, but they also have different branches in different states. So I'm going to provide their website, and also too, if you're not able to go to church and you really want to hear a good message with music and things that you could write notes about, things that apply to your own life, I would like to provide you with the link for the live online church down below as well. They do that several times during the week as well as several times on Sunday. All you have to do is go to the website and you can sit there with your coffee and your breakfast and your notepad and literally listen to a really good message that's about an hour long. It may be like 45 minutes, I guess, depending on who's doing it. But it's never been one of those things, I can't say never, but it is very highly unusual for me to be in church and looking down at my watch and being like, when is this going to be over? Because it usually is so interesting or so touching. They usually hit on a couple of verses, but they keep to one story that applies to their message, or they just talk about things that people are struggling with and how the Bible helps them with that. So that is so incredibly helpful to me. Today, because I went to church, I got this little pamphlet. I fill this out every week. They give you a different one every week, and you could write little notes on it and things like that. So today's message was actually on the story of the Good Samaritan. So I would like to read you this story. I hope that's okay. And also too, before I get started, I want you to know that you are welcome to listen to this no matter what religion you are, no matter what race you are, no matter what sexuality you are. I am a Christian who believes in loving people as they are, as they come. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how high up in the church you are. I look at somebody and value them as a person. I value their heart. And I don't look at them like, oh, well, you just work at, I don't know, maybe you're a plumber at a school making minimum wage. Now, plumbers make really good money. I'm just theoretically, y'all know what I'm saying. Or compare that person to somebody who makes a ton more money and go, well, that person should be the one that's in church. No, I feel like everybody needs God, especially people that feel like they don't need him. They feel better than everybody else. I think that they need to come to church and they need to get a little bit grounded as to who they are as a person and who actually is in control. Because I think a lot of times money and power can go to people's heads and they feel like they're above everybody else and they can tell you what to do and they're better than you. And some Christians act like that. Some people stand on the side of the road and yell at you to go to church, or come up to your car and give you a pamphlet that makes you super uncomfortable. I hate that. I don't represent that. So I hope you know with me doing this, I'm not pressuring you to become a non-denominational Christian. I'm not even pressuring you to become a Christian. I'm literally wanting to speak about the message. My religion is Christianity, but I believe we can learn from each other, and I don't expect anybody to make a life-altering religious decision today. I just want you to see it from a perspective of a Christian that is laid back, that is tattooed, that is pierced, that has definitely had a drink of wine before, that drinks beer occasionally. I'm a real person, and I'm not going to sit in front of you pretending to be perfect and give you a speech that's ridiculous about, how I have 4 perfect children, and I'm married, and I live in a house with a white picket fence. Y'all know what I'm saying. Our grass look like Lion King outside sometime, you know what I'm talking about? And, I cuss too. I mean, not necessarily something I'm proud of, but I'm a human and I sin, and I'm also myself, and I'm, proud to be myself. I don't want to change who I am. It's weird because I have low self-confidence, but I don't want to change who I am either. I like to be authentic and show you guys exactly what's up. So anyway, sorry to make that whole little speech. It's been 4 minutes. I haven't even gotten into this. Let's get started. I'm going to read the Good Samaritan story to you, then we're going to talk about it for a minute, and then we'll close. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy this story, and it's a little bit long, so get your coffee, get your snack. Alright, so this comes from Luke 10:25 through 37. It's the NIV version. Your version may be different depending on what Bible you have. The story should be located in the same place, but the way it is worded may be different. So, on one occasion, an expert in law school stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" he answered. "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbors as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, what do y'all think he did? The priest who talked to his church I'm getting away from the verse, but y'all know what I'm saying. It blows my mind. The priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. The Levite didn't even stop. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. When he put the man on his donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expenses you may have." Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." So, how true is that today? Like, the people that were expected and were in a position like the priest and, the Levite to stop and help this man that had been robbed and attacked and was wounded and bleeding and hurt on the side of the road, they kept walking. And the person that would be least expected to stop and help another, probably a person that is judged, that is looked down on, is actually the person that stopped, bandaged his wounds, put this man on his donkey. And our preacher was talking about that, being like, have you ever tried to lift a man, an injured man, a sweating man, a bleeding man? That was not an easy task for that one man to do, and he put him on his own donkey. He probably got off and walked while the man rode on his own donkey. He took the man to an inn. He paid for the man to be cared for after he got done caring for him for a day, and said he would pay for extra additional if the man needed extra care. He did not know this man. He probably, if the man was fine, he probably wasn't going to need to go back. I don't know. I don't know the end of that story. That's kind of where the Bible cuts off as far as that. We don't always know the endings to these stories. But it's a really good message that we should remember we always need to help each other. Now, I know that financially, I don't know if you live in a city where there's lots of, I hate to say beggars. These are real people. These are people, good people, a lot of them, hard workers that have been displaced from jobs. I know there's like a whole scam thing going around with like people pretending to be homeless and asking for money. I know that happens, but I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the actual people that are in the position to be homeless, and they are ashamed of it, and they're tired and hungry, and they literally need something when they're asking you. Now, I don't know how to decipher between the two, because both people, both the person that is not poor but is looking like they're poor and wanting money, and the person that actually is poor, look the same way, if that makes sense. Like, they both look their part. Like, they usually have like the clothes and they're dirty, but either way, I don't think that's necessarily what matters. I think what matters is where our heart is in that situation when we get asked, can you help me? Now, I'm not telling anybody to give anybody money, but I am telling you that personally, I am going to think about it more. If a person comes up to me and needs something, I'm not so much into giving cash, but I think there's ways we can help. For instance, if you go on Pinterest, there's this, I'm trying to think of, if I can find the website or the link, I will post it below, but you can make bags for the homeless to keep in your car, little Ziploc bags, where you put a pair of socks, toothbrush, toothpaste. Sometimes people slip in like $5 in there, like some hygiene items. You can find all of it at the Dollar Tree. Would y'all like me to do like a craft on that? Like actually like put together one and like show you what I put in mine? Because I think I would really like to carry a couple, because in Charleston, it's not as bad as it was. I don't know where the people went, but it got so bad that there were people all over my area that, you know, holding signs. You couldn't go down an interstate without seeing somebody holding a sign. It was really heavy and it was really sad. So want to inspire you to reach out to people, you know, whether it be a homeless person, whether it be somebody going through a divorce, whether it be, you know, taking time for a friend that's going through a loss, a family member, a loss. We have to sacrifice of ourselves, because the reality is, I do believe in karma. I do believe what goes around comes around, and we're going to need somebody in our lives, and we're going to have a similar situation, maybe not their situation, but we're going to need somebody, and we're going to need somebody to lean on when that happens. And if we're not there for other people, they're most likely, I don't know, depending on the kind of person they are, they're amazing. They may still be there for you, but we want to be good people and reach out to each other and show friendship. So I'm just kind of looking at my pamphlet to see what else I want to go over. I wrote down to love God is to love people. And that's true. If you love God with everything you have, we have to try to love each other and have compassion for each other, because this world is really hard right now. My church referenced the school shootings. We actually had, I think it was a quadruple murder, like not that far from where I live, like in my city the other day. We've had fires, just as everywhere has had fires. There's been a lot lately. The preacher was talking about he knows a teacher at a school that so far, I think it was like 4 of his players that he has taught before. I don't know if it was basketball players or football players, but they've died. And from, I think it was shootings or something. So y'all know what I'm talking about. It's not just where I live, it's everywhere. It's on the news. It's in the papers. You can literally witness it almost. So it's really important to reach out to people and not walk by somebody just because we feel like we're better than them. We feel like we don't want to be bothered. They also mentioned, and the preacher used himself as an example. He said the other day he was going to the movies and he saw a man pushing his car. Now, I was expecting the preacher to be like, I'll pull it over to the side and I helped him. But he didn't. He used himself as an example, and he said he actually did not pull over. He was late for the movies. He felt like the man had it with pushing his car. He looked okay, and he decided to not pull over, and he regretted that, because he said in that moment he could have been an example to his kids. His kids would have asked, why did you pull over? Who is that man? Why did you help him if you didn't know him? And he could have explained, I didn't know him, but, you know, I wanted to be there for him. I wanted to show this man compassion because everybody was passing by. Just like everybody passed by the man that was beaten in the story, but the Good Samaritan. And it's more difficult to be a Good Samaritan than I think we think. Even me, like I sit here and I'm just like, oh, I've done nice things for people. I've definitely helped homeless people. I've given them money. But at the same time, how many homeless people have I offered to buy a meal for? I know not long ago there's a homeless person, I think it was, I'm not gonna say the area, but it was not too far from here, and he actually was waving around doing some hand signs. I'm like, what is he doing? And my boyfriend was like, I think he's trying to like symbolize he wants to eat. We did a U-turn. And we went back, and that man, you know, said he was hungry, and we said, you know, well, could we treat you to some things from the gas station? Like, we weren't exactly sure, you know, and he was just like, you know, thought that would be great, that would be amazing. He didn't ask for cash. He didn't. He went in the gas station and very conservatively picked out, I think, maybe a couple of cans of tuna or something. I can't even recall. I think he got some mustard and a Diet Coke, and that was all. And I'm thinking he could have just bought up the store and taken advantage of that situation, but he didn't. He bought what he needed, and we were able to help him have a nice dinner for that night. He put it all in his backpack, and he was like headed off to the woods. He was like so happy. So we probably even helped more people than just that one person. I bet he lived in a group of people potentially. So think about that too. When you're helping someone, you're probably also helping other people, extended people, people you don't even know about yet. So I wish we did that more. I wish that could be a more common occurrence. I wish I did more volunteering and maybe working in a homeless shelter and helping serve food and things like that. So that could definitely be something I want to look into doing, because volunteering can just be a good step in the door as far as helping you realize that you really are lucky in your life right now. And maybe you don't get money from it, but I guarantee you'll probably get friendships, you'll definitely get knowledge from it, and you'll be giving back, which I feel like giving back is truly the best feeling. Because if you think about it, what feels better? To go shopping for a gift for somebody, or to be like buying something for yourself? In the moment, that feels really good. But when you get in the car, not so good anymore. Like, it just feels like, okay, it's there, I probably shouldn't have bought it. But if you buy it for somebody else and it's in the car, it's still for somebody else when you get home. It's still for somebody else when you put it in the bag. And it feels amazing to hand it over to the person and to watch them like really appreciate the gift. So I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I'm trying to think of any other tips to tell you. I mean, he did really go over refocusing your priorities, because going to the movies and doing fun things, he said he valued in that moment the movies and fun things over helping another human being. And that really like put things into perspective for me, because I was like, wow, it's, you know, it shouldn't be that way, but I cannot sit here and judge him for that, because I would have done the same thing. And not that I could push a car, you know what I'm saying? But there are moments where I pass up people because I'm annoyed and I don't have the money to help them, and you know, I just get frustrated because there's so much of it, and I feel like I'm always being asked to give and I don't have it. But I need to stop and breathe and reconsider what else I could potentially do in that moment to help that person. So sometimes there may not be anything, but if we don't stop and think about it, you know, excuse me, my nose running, there won't be any ideas, and we'll never know what happened to that person, and we will know in our heart we didn't really even try to think about that. So that's a big deal. I know a lot of people feel like they're going through a lot in their lives, and they don't feel like they can hear about their friend's story or hear about what a stranger is going through. Like, it all just feels incredibly heavy. But there's just something really refreshing about being there for another human being and being kind to them. And like I said, guys, I truly, truly, truly believe in my heart that with the average person, hopefully it would come back around for you. And I need more support in my life. I have amazing like friends and subscribers on here, and I'm so thankful for you guys. I'm so thankful for that. But as far as like human contact and having like friends in person in my city, not so much. And again, that is not on people. That is probably more my fault, because I'm very like socially awkward. I don't like to be in social situations. But I'm going to try to think about that more, and I want to try to figure out how to like at least get up with like one person regularly again, so that even if it's just going to lunch, you know, I can have that contact and I could be helpful for that person and vice versa. Because if we sit here and deal with it all alone, you know, we think, oh, well, sacrifice is hard, helping somebody else and giving of ourselves is hard, but what about just being alone? I mean, that's a sacrifice in and of itself. So that's how I look about that. I say the oddest things. I swear I don't talk like this in person. Let's see. The one question that our preacher asked us that I wanted to mention to you before I close is, what has God rescued you from? So just like the Good Samaritan rescued the man, he could have passed by. He could have let the man die. He could have left him alone. But I wanted to ask you, as a subscriber and as a friend, what do you feel like God has rescued you from? I feel like there is so much personally that God has rescued me from, and I can tell you that in the moment, it felt like everything but rescue. It literally felt like punishment. But isn't it crazy how we like look back at our lives and how the things that have happened to us and we go, there was a reason for that, and he pulled me through that. You know, I cried out to him and I prayed to him. I went to church when I was literally homeless and living with my good friend on her bedroom floor on a bed she purchased for me off Craigslist. I've never been more alone, but he got me through that. And I remember going to church regardless of what my job situation was or the money I had or the clothes that I had. I still went, and I feel like the Lord saw that, and he was, let me read that verse. There's one of my favorite verses on here. I'm about to close without it. Let's see. Here it is right here. Psalms 34:18. Y'all need to write this one down. You got your pencil? Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I'll read that one more time. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. At some point in your life, you are going to need that verse. I would tape it to the refrigerator. I'm not even kidding you. Like, literally, that's a tattoo idea for me. Because I can't tell you how many times when you are, not you, but when I'm alone, I'm basing this on me, I'm not judging anybody, but when I'm alone and I just feel like nobody's there and there's no point in anything. Again, that's a lot of depression talking. That's a lot of trauma talking. That's not necessarily who I would have been if I had lived a different life. But that verse is something I need to read in those moments because it tells me I am not alone and the Lord is drawing closer to me in that moment than he may be to someone who is not going through such devastation and darkness. I'm not saying that's favoritism. I'm saying it's like extreme comfort, and I feel like the Lord knows when we need that, and I have felt that. I have felt his presence. I have felt that, and I believe with all my heart that he has you. I just kind of like sometimes close my eyes and imagine that he has his arms wrapped around me. And to people that are not Christian, I know this is going to sound really out there, really crazy. I don't blame you. If I heard about certain other religions and maybe what they do in their religion, I may kind of feel the same way, like, wow, that's different, you know, but I'm telling y'all the truth. I mean, I can only base this off of me, so I really have felt like the Lord has me. I feel like he's told me that in moments of trauma and loss, that he knows I feel like I'm like coming apart and that I don't know how to move forward and I'm tired, and there's comfort and like in those moments praying to him and reaching out and just saying, I feel so alone, like help me, you know, maybe know that you're here, like I just need to feel your comfort. And I felt stronger in those moments, and I can't explain it. Like, I've never seen him, but I have seen signs that he is there. I've seen signs that I'll have to show y'all some things. I mean, even things I've actually found in a thrift store before. Y'all may have seen it in a video before, but the day after my grandmother passed away, I found the is it called plaster maybe, but it's almost like a mannequin, but it was a person blowing a kiss and also two people holding hands, and those were the last two things I did for my grandmother, and I found that the day after she passed away, and it was so comforting and sweet and crazy now that I look back on it, and I'm so thankful I bought both of them because they're in the bedroom now, and I can't tell you how many times I look at that and go, he wanted me to know. He wanted me to know. She was sending me a message to tell me that she knew I was there in her last moments when she took her last breath. I had been holding her hands, and the last thing I did after she took her last breath is I blew her a kiss because I knew she was going up to heaven. So to see that was just crazy. And I've also too found a music box before of two angels. One had completely broken wings, the other had full wings, and there was like a dove in the middle of them. And I have truly always felt like when I found those, I believe it was like on a day I was really struggling and missing my sister. Two of my sisters had passed away. There were two angels on that thing, one with broken wings, and one of my sisters, I believe, was physically, I guess I can't say that, you know, but she had had some trauma, I'm going to say that. And I felt like that was God's way of telling me that my sisters found each other after they passed away. And at the time, my brother was alive, and I didn't think anything of the dove that was in the middle. But my brother has passed away, and I look at it now, and I think maybe God knew that that dove was going to represent my brother, because the dove is sitting right in front of the two girls, almost looking like it's going to protect the two girls. And that's where my brother Will would want to be, is right in front of my sisters. So it's amazing. It is amazing when you sit back and you look at how God has worked in your life, how he has put people in front of you that maybe you didn't want to see at the time. Maybe they made you angry or uncomfortable, but maybe it was something you needed to confront, to heal and move on. And I'm telling you, I feel like the Lord has put people in my life on a regular basis that I did not want to see, but that I needed to handle the situation. So it's not always something that's enjoyable, that's for sure, but I believe he has us. I really do. And is there any other comforting verses? Jeremiah 30:17, but I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord. But I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord. Now, in my personal opinion and belief, that does not necessarily mean in this world, in this life. I know there are people that do not get restored to health, and that do not get healed. I know that. I just have to believe that he means whether it is in this world or in this life or in the next life, that we will be healed and we will be restored by him. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, Psalms 147:3. And again, that's similar to one of the last verses I read to you about being close to the brokenhearted. I really believe the Lord is here to heal. It's just not going to happen overnight. I know people have a lot of questions about the Lord, like, why doesn't it happen now? I've asked for it. Why doesn't that happen? Why doesn't he show himself? Why doesn't he make signs? At the end of the day, I can't question the Lord because, number one, I don't feel it's necessarily... I don't want to say necessarily right, but I believe as a human, I can't handle the answers. I would know the answers if I could handle them. We know what we are able to handle. He gives us what we are able to handle. What in your life have you experienced that you have not survived through? Because if you're watching this video, at the very least, you're living and you're breathing and you have made it through a lot. So I may not like anything that I have had dealt to me in my life. I may not think that anything I've been through is fair, but I'm here, you know, so it's not like he gave me things that literally killed me, kind of deal. Everybody's situation is different, but I think people get a little too off on prove it, and they don't listen, and they don't read, and they don't look for the answers themselves. They get really hyped up on these situations and why God doesn't fix them, and if you read the Bible, I mean, he didn't even fix all of those situations. He performed miracles. He showed himself. He spent time with people. He had dinners with people. He loved people. He gave compassion to those that are greatly looked down on. So today, if God was here, I highly believe he'd be walking the block where the prostitutes are. I'm not even joking you. And they'd be cleaning his feet and he'd be forgiving their sins because there's stories like that in the Bible, where he took into consideration, like, people that had, I think I read a story to you last week about a woman who had cheated on her husband and was about to be stoned to death. And he actually, like, stepped in and was like, let the person who has never sinned throw the first stone. And everybody dropped their stones and ended up walking away. He has compassion. And so that's basically my message today, is be compassionate, love each other. Think about it before you walk away from somebody that really, truly needs your help. And just know that, you can get through any and every situation, that God is there and that he will draw close to you in times of great need. I feel like he said that too because he knows he is so, let me try that again. He knows that we think he is so far away. And he needed to say that to remind us because he knew we needed that physical comfort, that love in times of sadness. He wanted us to know and send us a message that during our times of extreme need, he would be there. He would be closer to us in that moment because he knows we need that closure and that closeness. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this message, please give me a thumbs up. This is a new series I'm doing. It is every Sunday. If I do miss a Sunday, please don't judge. I do the best that I can. I do want to try to do this for as many Sundays as possible. And if you're enjoying it, if you're listening to it, I will continue to do it, and I will obviously continue to do it until I don't feel like it's something I want to keep incorporating into my channel. Right below is all my church's info. I know I stated that at the beginning, but if you turn this video on in the middle or something, wanted you to know you can find all Seacoast information, their Instagram, their Twitter, I believe, their website, their chats live where they have church online. You see the same thing that I see when I go to church. So basically it's like sitting through a church service, except the music is really beautiful, the message is really good, and after the time where the live church is on, it will go off until the next time. So it's not something you can go at, like, I don't know, 3:30 and watch. It has specific set times. All those times I'm going to list for you below. So I inspire you, if you're not able to get out of the house for whatever reason, no judgment, they do church online so that people that cannot be there or that may be sick or not able to leave their home can watch it from there. Hope you enjoyed this, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.